Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PTOC Virtual Forum. We are so excited to hear from the 8 candidates who are running for the Board of Education. There are 3 seats open for a 3-year term. My name is Lauren Ballady, and I am the co-president of the PTOC. I have 3 children in the schools here, and I have served on the PTO for many years. I would like to introduce the 8 candidates at this time. We have Crystal Adams, Monisha Amaral, Aaron Chan, Brian Lawrence, Devon Negrecha, Neetu Selhortra, Agnes Sim, Jing Wen. Thank you all for being here tonight. We have compiled the questions that have been submitted from the public and have picked out of a hat for the order in which the candidates will respond. I would like to introduce my co-president, Sherry Mahfouz. She will be co-hosting this event along with our moderator, John Westphal Kwan, and myself. Sherry.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sherry Mahfouz, and I serve as co-president of PTOC with Lauren. I also have 3 children in the district and have worn many, many volunteer hats throughout the years. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing John Westphal Kwan, our moderator for this evening. A little bio on John. John was unanimously appointed to the Board of Ed in April 2013 and then elected to a 3-year term from 2014 through 2016. In January 2019, he was unanimously appointed to fill a 1-year vacancy. During those times, he served as the 2015 BOE president, as well as chairing key committees at various points of his tenure, including finance, property, policy, and negotiations. And without further ado, I present our moderator for the evening, John Westphal Kwan.
Thank you, Lauren, Sherry, and to the Millburn's Parent-Teacher Organization Conference members for your leadership and service to the community. We would like to welcome the 8 Board of Education candidates to this evening's forum and appreciate each of your willingness to serve. As you know, BOE positions are nonpartisan and unpaid. This year, voters may vote for up to 3 candidates. As a reminder to our viewers, per New Jersey state law outlining Code of Ethics and the New Jersey School Board Association, the key roles for a Board of Education member are policy, planning through both the budget and curriculum approval, and oversight of the superintendent. BOE members also represent the public during collective bargaining, during contract negotiations, and serve as a communication conduit between the community and the school system. For more information on BOE members' roles, you can go to njsba.org. To begin, each candidate will have up to 60 seconds to provide an opening statement. We have asked them to include strengths they are bringing to the table to best represent all students enrolled in Millburn's public schools. The order has been drawn from a hat and is as follows: Aaron Chan, Crystal Adams, Brian Lawrence, Agnes Sim, Monisha Amaral, Jing Wen, Neetu Selhortra, and Devon Negrecha. Candidates, write that down because we're going to keep that order the entire time throughout the evening.
John, can you repeat that?
So,
you froze up a second.
Okay. Aaron, Crystal, Brian, Agnes, Monisha, Jing, Neetu, Devon. Got that? Okay. Aaron, you're first, so we'll have you get started with your 60-second opening statement.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. To introduce myself, I'm currently a Millburn High School senior. I'm running for the Board of Education to benefit the educational experience of my peers and the students younger than me. I spent 12 years in this community. My entire educational career was spent in this town from kindergarten to senior year, and now I want to give back to the community in the best way I know how. by joining the Millburn Board of Education and using my experience as a student in the school system to improve it however possible. I've spent years involved in community service around Millburn. I am president of the Millburn High School Key Club, the largest community service organization in the school. I also run a volunteer tutoring organization spanning all the schools of the district. I would take the same dedication to the Board of Education to ensure we have a school district that benefits every member of our community, students, parents alike. And rest assured, I will remain a committed member of the board. All the colleges I'm applying to post-graduation are within close driving distance to Millburn. I need to always return and fulfill my duties. So thank you all. I'd like to thank the Millburn PTO and all the organizers for hosting this amazing event. Thank you all.
Thank you, Aaron. Crystal.
Hi, everyone. My name is Crystal Adams. My husband and I have lived with my children for over 13 years in Millburn. They're in high school now. I come to you today saying that I want to collaborate, listen, and vote on policies and programs that promote balance in our children's academic journey. I am deeply passionate about stress and mental wellness, cultural and racial inclusivity in curriculum and hiring practices, and the improvement of both fine arts and performing arts in all our schools. I want to find and submit solutions to problems that are blocking our children from reaching their fullest potential. Vote for me. A vote for all our students to receive an equally enriching academic experience through progressive thinking and learning. So vote 5F, Crystal Adams. Vote Millburn for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian.
Thank you, PTOC. I'm Brian Lawrence, and we have the pleasure of living in Millburn Short Hills for over 6 years. We have 2 kids, one in 7th grade and one in 4th grade. We have benefited from special education services and the great education program. I'm running to serve in the Millburn Board of Ed because I care, have the time, the skills, and the right background to make a difference. As a CPA and former CFO, I understand budgets and financing. As a CEO of a non-for-profit senior living provider, I understand operations, infrastructure, and strategic planning. Because of my financial background and business background, I will ask the right questions. I will ensure the budget is allocated to the right resources to support students, school infrastructure, and that our teachers are getting the support and training they need. I would practically establish a plan with the board administration to keep our class sizes stable with the future growth of housing, and I would work hard so our students are getting the best education for access to advanced placement classes and support for their mental health. Thank you so much, and I look forward to serving you if I have the pleasure.
Thank you. Agnes.
Thank you, Lauren, Sherry, John, the PTOC members, and the members of the audience for joining us tonight. My name is Agnes Sim, and I've lived in town for 7 years. I feel very blessed to be raising my family here. And so over the years, I have volunteered in various roles as a way to give back to this community. As a parent with a 7th grader in the middle school and a 3rd grader at Deerfield, I have a vested interest in the long-term success of our schools. And as a practicing attorney, I'd like to offer up my legal skills and expertise to help our school community. I hope to continue the progress the board has made to maintain the excellent quality of education and improve the mental health of our students. In addition, I would like to help the board navigate through some potential changes to our children's learning environments. Everyone here tonight brings something different to the table. I'm bringing my skills and expertise as an accomplished lawyer who day in and day out negotiates complex deals by being collaborative and creative to find the middle ground for all involved parties. Collaboration is key to the success of the board, and I can contribute to that.
Thank you. Monisha.
Hi, I'm Monisha Amaral, running for one of the seats. I have 3 boys in the school system, in elementary school and middle school. I've lived in Millburn for 11 years. I've been part of several PTO committees at Glenwood and middle school, in the soccer clubs, Boy Scouts, robotics club, social service. I've studied in 3 continents, so I bring a global perspective. My undergrad is in a bachelor's of computer engineering and a master's from London School of Economics. I'm a senior executive at the top Wall Street bank. I'm here to do 4 things: to assist with the finances, to make sure our taxes are in line. Being an engineer, I would like to add more STEM into all the levels in the school. The 3rd thing is add mental health awareness. And the 4th thing, having a special needs child, I want to reinstate the BOE Special Education Subcommittee to help children and their needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Jing.
Okay, good evening. My name is Jing Wen. I'm a Millburn resident since 2015 with 2 boys in the school system. I have a senior in Millburn High School and an 8th grader in Millburn Middle School. Before moving here, my family lived in Summit for 11 years. I'm running for BOE because I'm passionate about education. After quitting my job in 2018, I twice volunteered to fill the temporary board vacancies. Inspired by the passionate and enthusiastic parents in town who devote their time for the activities, I feel that I'm ready to do the same, to contribute and to give back. What I can add value and bring to the board is my 25-year real-world finance and banking experience from Wall Street. What I will advocate if I'm elected are health and safety in returning full-time in-person learning, student mental health and wellness, sustainability, and diversity and inclusion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And we'll have further time to follow up in other slots. Neetu.
Hi, I'm Neetu Salotra. I'm a current board member and I'm running to get re-elected. I joined the board early summer and right off the bat started contributing to the work of Finance, Property, Program, and Communication Committee. I was able to hit the ground running because of my past 8 years of experience of leadership role in PTO executive boards of Deerfield, Washington, and middle school. I have spent past 8 years enriching the lives of our students in various ways. I have started many STEM extracurricular programs in elementary schools. I conceptualized and organized the Ed Foundation STEM Festival, which was first ever in the town. And these 8 years of experience, and along with being a parent of children who have gone through elementary, Washington, middle, and high school, has given me an in-depth understanding of various issues at all levels. I hope to get re-elected so that I can continue contributing to the board and making changes that benefit all children.
Thank you. Devon.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Devon Negrecha and I'm running for Millburn Board of Education. My ballot position is 8F. I grew up in neighboring Livingston and attended Livingston High School. I have been a resident of Short Hills for over 4 years with my wife, Diana, and 2 children. Devin is a first grader at Deerfield and Vera will join her brother at Deerfield next year. I'll have a vested interest in the school system for the next 14 years. I am excited for the opportunity to give back to our community and contribute to supporting the excellent education in the district. I believe I can provide the time and unique skills, knowledge, and insight needed to serve on the board. Professionally, I am president and CEO of a large specialty pharmacy and healthcare consulting company. We provide outpatient retail and specialty services to hospital partners. Therefore, I have the unique management, problem-solving, communication, organizational, and budgetary skills that I look forward to bringing to the board. In addition, I have a doctorate of pharmacy from Northeastern University. I am a member of the St. Barnabas Medical Center Young Leaders, and I'm on the board of directors for the Millburn Soccer Club. If elected, I will serve as a voice for all families, and I am very enthusiastic about this opportunity and a chance to serve the children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And thanks again to the community members who have submitted questions for the candidates. We have prepared some broad categories based on those questions, and candidates will have 60 seconds to respond, and then an additional 45 seconds for further clarification or information after each person has had an opportunity to speak. We very much appreciate the candidates have remained focused on letting the public know about the unique value that each of you would bring to the board, and that you have remained respectful towards your potential and future Board of Education colleagues. Our first question will be going to Crystal Adams. So I'll start this, and then everyone again will have an opportunity to answer the same question for 60 seconds. There has been a lot of discussion in our community regarding the health and wellness of our students with added level of anxiety and uncertainty during these complicated times. What do you think is the board's role in dealing with student wellness? What ideas do you have to create a lower stress environment that still fosters the shared value of academic excellence?
Sorry, you froze, so I didn't hear the whole question.
Right, sorry. Which part did you miss, or I can repeat it?
Repeat.
Great. There has been a lot of discussion in our community regarding the health and wellness of our students with added levels of anxiety and uncertainty during these complicated times. What do you think is the board's role in dealing with student wellness? It's the part one of the question. And what ideas do you have to create a lower stress environment that still fosters the shared values of academic excellence?
I'm going to do my best to answer. Well, yes, stress is a very big thing. When I talk to parents, that is a big concern. I do believe that it is the role of the board to find as many options possible to lessen the stress of our children, or to give them the skills to maneuver and to cope with stress, especially if some of it might be because of some of the schooling and some of the homework and some of the testings and things like that. We should find ways to alleviate or to, what's the word, to compromise on works. My ideas are basically getting together with the staff and seeing where we can meet in the middle, and to also introduce art therapy. I believe that it's something that's, it's a new way of, not new, but it's something that could definitely help our children cope with their stresses.
Thank you. And a reminder, and thanks for sticking on time, and a reminder for the rest of the candidates. You'll have 45 seconds at the end to formulate anything that you've missed after everyone has answered the question. Brian.
We need to do everything we can to reduce stress and support mental health for our children. For example, the Thrive program recently started provides a specialized counselor for the schools in the district to support our students. This is an amazing resource, and I would like to support and continuation of this program and other opportunities to provide mental health support for our kids. At the high school, we need to eliminate the advanced placement qualifier. It's not used in other districts and creates unnecessary stress for children. There should be equal opportunity and access to AP classes based upon the student's capability. Extending class time in high school, as they did in middle school, to give the student more instructional time is another great avenue to explore. For example, the middle school has a rolling periods now where the day 1 is 1 through 6 and day 7 starts with 7 and so forth. Mental health of our students should always be a priority. This will always be on my mind if I have the opportunity to serve on the Board of Ed. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
The board has an important role in focusing on the wellness of the students through policies and programs. I support the board's efforts in changing policies for homework and assessment and researching things like AP qualifiers. Keeping common lunch is also great, as the students seem to be happy about that. We can do more with school spirit, promote groups like youth scouting to promote or create safe places to promote youth development, leadership, volunteerism, and mental and physical fitness, all for keeping the students happier. We also need to take a look at the middle school, as the stress seems to start building earlier these days. Said that, the best thing we can do is help students find balance and encourage them to pursue their interests and even explore new ones. We have to work together as a community, as parental and peer pressure is real. There is this perception that there is a formula to get into the top colleges, but there's no single path to success. This is the underlying issue in my view. We need to further educate and continue the dialogue on shared goals and options for different paths.
Thank you. Monisha.
I have dealt with trauma in my own family, and I like to bring mental health awareness to the community. One of the things that has worked for my boys and me is, yoga, mindfulness, meditation, art of living, counseling, and a lot of social work. Music and art has also been very helpful in addressing stress and mental health deterioration. One of the things I would like to add in the school curriculum is part of the PE class, where we can, do 5 minutes of meditation. I think that would be a good tool for every child in the school system to have, ways to calm themselves down. Another stress factor is the AP qualifiers in the high school. I would like to review some of the AP qualifier systems and look for opportunities to reduce stress for the high schoolers. Thank you.
Thank you. Jing.
Okay, this is a very key issue that's close to my heart because I find myself doing a lot of comforting and coaching during 3 years. My older boy went through high school, the 3 years in high school. So what I would propose as a board member, first, I would propose they incorporate in the health section of the PE and health class a module, just call it mental health, wellness, and coping skills. I feel the students needs to be aware, make aware of this area and teach them some coping skills dealing with mental health issues. Second, I wanted to ensure that the schools, high schools and middle schools are adequately staffed in terms of school psychologists and school counselors to provide emotional support to students. Currently, high school has 2 and middle school has 1. I think that's all my time. All right, I'll add later.
45 minutes.
No problem.
Yes, thank you. Me too.
Thank you, John. You know, the fact is that the cost of living in a high-performing district means that it need to excel puts a lot of pressure on our kids. So in order for it to be a comprehensive solution, the school and the parent community needs to come together to promote that there can be multiple paths to success and that we need to bring back a sense of balance to our kids' lives. At school levels, there are some stress points which can be removed and some policies which can be updated so that the journey of life, the journey of our kids through at least secondary school is eased. This can be easing of AP access, consistency in assessment, moving to block scheduling, and promoting a culture of belonging. But parent education is also the key. We need to arm them with information so that they can help their kids navigate the high school choices better. Finally, we need to have social emotional learning, which needs to start elementary school. And I'm not just talking workshops or health classes. I'm talking instructions which are integrated into the class curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you. Devon.
Thanks, John. So, in the last couple of months, I've been, fortunate enough to speak to a lot of middle school and high school parents and students themselves. And, this is a very big, concern, and I think it's a very high priority. I think part of the goals, one of the goals of a good board member is to have board goals and also support the district goals. So right now, our district has, 2 out of the 3 goals are looking at this. They're looking at the culture and climate, and also, looking at assessments and social emotional learning to inspire students. So I would continue to progress in that and look into that. I would promote social emotional learning and look at the curriculum with a wellness lens. I think it's very important that the district is already underway with some measures. The start times for the schools was one of those measures. The middle school I know is piloting some different types of block scheduling and different types of ways kids progress through class. AP qualifiers are being looked at, and then we're evaluating our assessments. And I guess I'll add on the next go around today.
All right, thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. I believe there are 2 key parts to helping support student mental health in our school system. First is ensuring the proper utilization of all the mental health resources and the support systems we already offer students. We have excellent services. Many of the students and peers that I've talked to who've gone voluntarily to seek help have had positive experiences. We just need to build trust between students and the support staff, and I believe we need to do that by starting with early exposure, getting students comfortable talking to guidance counselor figures, psychologist figures while they're in late elementary school, early middle school, so that when they actually need those figures in high school or later, they are comfortable reaching out. And second should be reinforcing the idea that there are many paths to excellence and success for students, that academics is not the end all be all, and that getting into one of the top 10 colleges in the country is not the end all be all, that students can achieve to their own level, and especially in our school district, they will be very successful.
Thank you. And now each of the candidates will have 45 seconds to cover anything that you may have missed in the first 60 seconds. And we'll start again with Crystal.
Thank you. One of the things I also wanted to add that I found out in one of the board meetings is that the elementary schools do not have guidance counselors. Unless I'm wrong, that is wrong. We can't have our kids being as young as they are not having access to help. COVID was a big shaker. It shook a lot of people, and our kids need to be prepared for, they need to have the tools to cope when we have things like an epidemic that happens. So that's something that I would really want to encourage, that our elementary schools have a counselor, and that we have more counselors trained in and reaching out to our student body so that they know they have someone to go to. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian. Brian, you're muted. We can
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Brian.
No worries. I know it's a new program, but I just want to stress again, the Thrive program started several weeks ago, where, counselors do go out to any school, elementary, middle school, high school, whoever's needs it. And it's a wonderful program. We got additional funding for it. The grant was written to obtain it. And I will look to support that and make sure that gets continued, either through another grant or another funding opportunity. I believe it was through the CARES Act, we got the funding from it. But we want to continue something like that because counseling is needed, and we need that as indicated throughout all grade levels. We do have it now, we have access to it, and we want to continue it. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
Sorry, so I'm really happy to hear that. I think a lot of us are aligned on this because we do see the importance of it. And I have to say that it was at a recent board meeting, I think all of us were in attendance, where a parent, I think it was Lauren Birnbaum, came up with a suggestion to bring in guidance counselors to the elementary schools, especially after the pandemic. And I think many of us agree with that, which is great to hear. Because I think a real problem is that there is that stigma for a student to go and seek mental health. So if we can start earlier, maybe that helps reduce the stigma. It makes it a little bit more natural. And I think at the end of the day, it's making sure the students realize that there is a support system in place and that there are various trusted adults that they can go and seek guidance from.
Thank you. Monisha.
Something that really worked, I think, for my boys and I have been group counseling, and I think it's phenomenal that we have the Thrive services that has come in. I think we need to do more in terms of, getting kids together. That's been a great way to kind of, share and learn from other kids, and also, feel that they're not alone when, when you're sitting in a group with a lot of kids going through the same issues, or sometimes you get a different perspective. I think definitely on the middle school and the high school, we need more counselors so that they are aware of any triggers or any symptoms of, mental health deterioration, and they can act upon it right away. Thank you.
Thank you. Jing.
Yeah, hi. I just want to add 2 points to what I explained before. One is to continue to provide parent educations on this topic, because parents is also important. As long as they're not giving extra pressure at home, that will help the mental health needs of their kids. Second, my idea is really thinking about instill maybe a committee under the high school PTO, a committee that organizes an annual career panel discussion. Invite high school alumni come back from different industry, all walks of life, and from different college tiers, to show students in high school that what level of college you go to, you can be successful. So the college doesn't decide whether you're not successful. It's you, the student, that decides.
Thank you. Me too.
I just wanted to point out that apart from the guidance counselors, we also have services of school psychologists, which is available in the district. So we do have support systems other than just the guidance counselor. And of course, Thrive Alliance, which not only did professional development to teachers to teach them how to see the signs and symptoms of mental stress in their students, but they all, for the kids with the highest need that were identified, they have been counseling with the kids. And in fact, for the most needy kids, they've even been doing family counseling. So, we do have some support system, but of course, more is always better. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Devon.
Thanks. So I know that, through the school, we have many resources that are available. I think a lot of that touched on it with the resource center, the student center, and psychologists and guidance counselors. I think it's really important now to get the word out and make sure that these resources are known by the parents and are known by the students. So, if there is a stigma or anything there, the parents can help coach them and tell them the importance of it. So I think that's important. And then also, I think looking forward, we should start to have a way to monitor these programs of wellness. So if we have the Thrive Alliance come in, if we have the student center being utilized, but if the scheduling changes in the middle school are being piloted, like let's try to share that with the parents and the students to see how well we're doing. Like how many kids, 2 years ago, how many people use the student center? How many people are using it this year? So I think it's important to look at and reflect upon that monitoring and that data.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. So I believe in proactivity when it comes to treating student mental health, especially such as the elementary school. We have guidance counselors apparently going there already, psychologist figures. However, we need to be bringing in those younger students to talk to them regularly rather than on a needs-based basis. That way they truly get comfortable speaking to them on a regular basis and truly get comfortable reaching out. I also believe in making what school systems or systems for academics we have work for the student. For example, we talked about AP qualifiers earlier. However, I believe that they should exist on the basis of they exist solely to help a student, like help that student qualify into the exam if their grades weren't enough to begin with. That way we provide extra support to students looking to.
All right, thank you all. Our next question will be going to Brian Lawrence first. What vaccines are currently required to attend Millburn Public Schools? And are you in favor of adding the coronavirus vaccine to that list for all students, teachers, and other staff? Part 2 to that question is, what is your position on student and adult employees wearing masks?
Thank you. I want to focus on the COVID-19 and its variants. My work involves the care for seniors, who are the most vulnerable to COVID-19 and its variants. From the beginning, I have been immersed in education, science, studies, and calls by the CDC, Department of Health and Disease experts. I put measures in place to protect our team members and all the seniors we serve. I personally witnessed the devastation of this pandemic and its long-term effects. While children are not immune, they will pass it on to others and they may suffer themselves. Over 63,000 children have been hospitalized and over 600 kids have died in the US. Over 140,000 kids have lost a parent or a grandparent who cares for them. That's 1 out of 500 children have lost someone. I would not want to see my children or any of your children or parent or grandparent within this district hospitalized or even worse when it's preventable. I do support and encourage testing, everyone wearing masks, and receive the vaccine if eligible. I believe these precautions do make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
That's a lot to go through in 1 minute. In terms of required vaccines, we've got DTaP, Tdap, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, okay, and so forth. I realize, though, that this pandemic has very serious concerns for the community. Governor Murphy has required masks for students, vaccines and testing for staff, but he, the New Jersey state government, the New Jersey Department of Health, have yet to issue an executive order or decision to include the FDA fully approved COVID-19 vaccine on our list of required vaccines for students. If such an order or decision is issued, like how Governor Newsom did in California, then I would follow and uphold that, and I would work to implement that right away. Until then, I'll follow the requirements and the guidance provided for both masks and vaccines from our state leadership. This is what the board must do as well. With respect to the last question, I think on adults wearing masks, again, the governor's mask mandate to me is evidence that we need it, so I think we all have to follow it. I don't know if a vaccine mandate by the board would even be held up in court.
Thank you. Monisha.
Thank you, Agnes, for going through the whole list. I was almost palpitating, thinking I had to go pull out the vaccination records of all 3 boys. But I think, every parent has a good sense of all the vaccines required. I know at 6th grade, 7th grade, there is meningitis included and HPV. My boys are fully vaccinated. My oldest has also got the vaccine for the COVID. the Pfizer shots, both shots. I think that the vaccine has definitely provided an added layer of protection against this virus. It's also, I think, given us, some comfort in terms of, being able to, sustain the virus if we did have to get it and not worry about the long-term effects of it. I would support any vaccine mandate provided by the state or mandated by the state or by local legislator. I would also support any mask mandate. I'm a single mother and I want my kids in
Thank
school.
you. We'll have 45 seconds later to complete. I know it's a big question. Thanks. Jing.
Hi, so currently not all the student population is eligible for getting a COVID-19 vaccine, so it would not be prudent to have a vaccine mandate. However, once all the students are eligible to get vaccines and the vaccines are formally approved by the FDA and recommended by the CDC, as well as recommended by on the state level, then I will really seriously consider having it add to the list of vaccine that we require already as a school. Because it does still provide exemptions for medical reasons and religious reasons. So the family still have an option to opt out if they fall in any of these two categories. In terms of masking, I do support the current masking mandate, indoor masking, regardless whether or not you're vaccinated or not, or outdoor masking, where social distance is not required. Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you, John. When you transition from being a parent to a board member and you realize that you are responsible for the health and safety of 4,000 plus kids, that weighs on you. And at that point, your personal parenting philosophy takes a backseat. You want to take the guidelines of CDC, the Department of Health, Department of Education, because their neck is on the line for the same thing, the health and safety of all the state kids. You don't want to be listening to all the expert opinions that are available on internet. That's not your basis of decision. So I would, in all circumstances, follow the guidelines of CDC, Department of Health, and as the levels change, as the scenarios change, the guidelines change, we will change accordingly. The policy, I would advocate to change our policies accordingly. And of course, whatever is mandated by law, as board members, we have to follow the state law. Thank you.
Thank you. Devon.
Thank you. So I think the number one priority right now is, to keep our kids and our students and staff safe and healthy, and our students in the classroom for in-person learning. I think that's the most important thing as we focus on the road forward past this. So vaccines are mandated, like a list of vaccines are mandated by the state, and which Millburn has obviously done the same. So we continue with that. As far as the COVID vaccine, I think that I would definitely support a mandate, but I think it's a little early now because we have to wait for state's guidance and we have to follow evidence-based decisions. So I think we're waiting on that. But I think in the meantime, it's very important for us to educate and promote vaccination in eligible students. So I think if that's one role that we can play as a district, to really get out there, and if there is any people that are deciding not to talk to them and educate them. And especially, I'm a healthcare professional myself and a frontline healthcare worker, so I know that education is really key to getting through some of the hurdles. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. I'd like to make it clear that our school district currently has 11 vaccination requirements, and I think it's about time we make it 12 with the COVID vaccine. The COVID vaccination has been FDA approved at this point since August. The Pfizer vaccine has been FDA approved, and state guidelines have always been suggesting vaccinations. Plus, I believe it's time that we do put in a vaccination requirement for all eligible students, for anybody within the age eligibilities. Obviously, we can't cover those outside of it. And I'm also in full support of a mask mandate to suppress the spread of COVID-19 as much as possible. Even with all these regulations, we need to keep up vigilance. Just in the past few weeks, 10 plus seniors had a minor outbreak of COVID and contracted it. So we need to keep our vigilance and make sure that we can finally wipe COVID-19, the pandemic, from our town and contribute to helping wipe it from the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal.
Hi, yes. So I wasn't sure of all of the vaccinations for the kids, but I know that they're caught up. I have the paperwork to prove it. I also believe that COVID should be on that list of immunizations. It isn't a pandemic. There are people who are still dying. There are people who are still hospitalized, I think with the exception of religious and compromised immune systems, that people should be vaccinated. I believe we should also keep masks because masks protect us and each other, ourselves and each other is what I mean to say. And I think it's really important that we understand that this is something where we have to think about not just ourselves, but other people who are affected. If we have vaccinations for DAPS and meningitis, I don't see why we shouldn't have one for COVID as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And now is the time for any 45 seconds for any follow-up comments on this question. Brian.
No, thank you. It was discussed tonight of, state and Murphy and mandates. What happened if he didn't do anything? I think it's the role of the board, as discussed, to protect all children. I make decisions every day to protect the lives of thousands of seniors. I'm capable and willing and able to do that for thousands of children. I will make the decisions and the choices to protect our kids based on the science and evidence and the guidance by CDC. Whether or not it is promulgated by the state or not, we got to make the right decisions to protect our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
So I don't know if everyone here knows this, but according to board regulation R5320 on immunizations, during an outbreak, it is the state commissioner of health and senior services who can temporarily issue additional vaccine requirements to control the outbreak, not the board. Separately, if I have a serious concern about my child's health, I will reach out to the pediatrician, ask for guidance, and follow it. Similarly, if our board has serious concerns about the health of our school community, the board should do the same thing. Reach out to local health experts, ask for guidance, and follow it. It's not about what we like and what we don't like when it comes to public health. Would you really want anyone sitting on the board to make important decisions affecting the health of your child without this guidance? Whether students will be required to take the COVID-19 vaccine will not be decided by me or anyone else, only by our state and Department of Health.
Right, thank you. Monisha.
I just wanted to add, being a single mother, I want to make sure that my kids are in school as much as possible. So I will do anything to support, them in school, because I've learned what a nightmare they could be when they're at home. I've had them for 18 months, but I'm so grateful to the school for having them. I don't know how they do it. I have so much appreciation for all our schools, teachers, and all the support staff that manage my 3 boys. It wasn't easy teaching them and taking care of them in the last 18 months. I'm extremely grateful. I will make sure that the safety and the health of the children are maintained at the utmost, so that children still stay in school, because that's a good thing for them.
Thank you. Jing.
Yes, so I just want to repeat, I am for vaccine, and I encourage everybody who's eligible for vaccination, go get vaccinated, because it protects your life. In terms of masking, I strongly support masking to those people who is reluctant to do that. I understand it is, you have your freedom to do what you want with your child, but once it relates to the health of the public, it no longer is that simple. So keep that in mind. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Me too.
I guess I'll just repeat that we have to follow the guidelines of CDC, Department of Health. And of course, there are things which are allowed to us by law and some are not. Otherwise, personally, my personal philosophy is I would encourage people to get vaccinated. And yes, CDC is still recommending universal indoor masking. And I think we need to take all these protective measures. Otherwise, this COVID is going to be a never-ending pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Devon.
Thank you. So as far as the vaccine mandates, I definitely understand that we're not the ones that are making that decision, but it's important to be supportive of such a decision, and that kind of helps in our community. We are kind of the basis. We are the link, if you're part of the board member, you're a link between the community and the schools, and to promote that and to really have evidence-based background for it is very helpful. I also think that I do support a mandate. They have mandated it in teachers with the opt-out for testing. So, it could come in the future. And I think we should be ready for that. And then also masking, of course, anything, a multi-layered approach to going against COVID is, masking, vaccinations, testing, distancing, all of that we have to follow, and we have to continue to monitor and adapt as it changes and the landscape changes.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. I've spoken with many of my peers, and many of them find comfort in the idea that we do have a mask mandate for indoor areas, and that we have a incredibly high vaccination rate, and many of them would be supportive of the idea of a vaccination mandate, especially if it removes the requirement for masks one day, we hope. But the point is that many students find comfort in providing further mandates, and even if it's not a power of the board to do, like what Devang said, we must always be ready to support the decisions made by the state if a vaccination mandate does ever come down. And we must be ready to protect the members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal.
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is that, there was a time where I was skeptical, and I was afraid, like some people who may be afraid of getting vaccinated. But I looked into the science, I looked at the CDC, and I looked at different studies, and I thought this was the right thing to do, and my family has been vaccinated. So I just believe that it brought a lot of peace, and knowing that you're protected from something that is actually, again, killing other people, not by a few, but by the thousands and hundreds of thousands. I think it's important that we think about that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you all. The next question, Agnes Sim will be the first to answer. In the role as a shared evaluator of the superintendent with the 8 other Board of Education members, what are the key attributes you would advocate for that she prioritizes?
So one of the primary roles of the board, of course, is to supervise the superintendent, and I would certainly take that role seriously. With respect to key attributes, collaboration is key. The board and the superintendent will be working together to bring about policy changes, program changes, curriculum changes, right? The board isn't involved in the day-to-day operational aspects. It's the superintendent, and the superintendent has the oversight of all of the administrators in all of our schools. So collaboration is of the utmost importance in my view. Communication is also very important with all of these changes and matters that are so important to the school community. Clear and consistent and constant communication is very important. Also, I think it's important to be able to balance the various views. We have views from parents, views from students, and views from the educators. At the end of the day, we're all trying to do what's best for the students and all students across the school community, and we have to balance all of those views together.
Thank you. Monisha.
I think one of the biggest key attributes would be, ensuring children have a balanced education system, an all-rounded, balanced, enriched education, not only emotionally, mentally, physically and, academically. We want to make sure that children have an exposure to as many fields as possible so that when they come out as adults, they've been exposed to arts, performing arts, drama, theater, STEM. Being an engineer myself, I would like to have my kids exposed to a lot more STEM subjects that are currently available. I also think that, the second thing is communication, I think is really key. There will always be issues in the school system and in the different schools, but I think it's very important that they're communicated and we can brainstorm and come up with solutions. I think the third thing is also collaboration.
All right, thank you. And we'll have 45 seconds for number 3. Jane.
Hi, so some of the key attributes I think it's important for a superintendent is communication, definitely. Transparency, very important, to make known the decision, how decision was made. So parents are aware what transpired. Also, being committed to the committee and involve the communities to have a lot of inputs and involvement from the community to address a particular problem. I think it's very helpful because more brains always works better than one brain. From a personal attributes, I think it's commitment, dedication, and also somebody who's forward-looking, who's current on changes, on technology progression, so they know what to bring to the committee, how to prepare the students in this community to be ready for not just for today, but for the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you, John. The schools are administered by the superintendent, and the board has an oversight role. And the way they convey the board's intentions to the superintendent is through defining the district goals and developing the policies. So what I would look to evaluate the superintendent is how well the superintendent is finishing the district goal and it is adapting the policies. Of course, the communication is important. She's still the chief communication officer, and how well the rationale for the decision have been explained to the community is important. There are a lot of changes that the board members advocate for. How well the superintendent is able to bring along the staff, persuade the staff, bring along the teachers to see those changes successfully is also a skill that the superintendent needs to have. And of course, some responsive to the daily changes or one-off requests from the parents.
Thank you. Devon.
So I think one of the most important part is as a board member is working with the other board members to work as an entity. And then in that sense, working together with them and also getting, having oversight over the superintendent. So I think it's important to make sure the superintendent is communicative and there is an annual evaluation, because it really clarifies, leadership roles which you have. You create a common understanding, and we kind of see working through a positive relation of what the goals and the district goals and the board goals and how far along they are. It's important to establish, and we as a board member don't have access to all the teachers and the administration the way the superintendent does. So I think it's a communication back and forth, working with each other to come up with a common solution. I also think it's really important for the superintendent to be approachable, so it makes it a good working relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron.
All right, thank you. I believe the overarching most important attribute is adaptability in our superintendent, since the superintendent is in a unique position where they're overseeing all the schools of the district. They're not like a principal who only has to deal with one. And they need to be able to keep up with the newest philosophies and teaching, education methods, and the newest leaps and bounds of technology, since we're progressing so quickly every day, which is an amazing thing. But they need to be able to adapt to it, keep up with it to ensure we're providing our students the highest quality education possible. And they also need to maintain close communication with the board, the administrations, and the parents and the students. All of them are key aspects of ensuring our school district runs well and runs functionally. So they need to be included in the conversation, and the superintendent has a unique position to be able to pull all those voices together. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal.
Okay, maybe I'm too demanding. I have a list. One of the things is transparency. I don't believe in having gotcha moments. I think it's important that the superintendent works on early notice and over communication. I believe that the superintendent should be proactive, not reactive. That they are thinking ahead for all types of emergencies and all types of possibilities. Creative. I think that they need to be able to have some new ideas and not original ideas. I also believe in empathy for students, empathy for the staff, and empathy for the parents. I think it's important to have empathy in whatever role you play so that you can best serve the ones you're working with and for. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian.
Oh, thank you. Being a CEO is very similar to being a superintendent. So I have a few thoughts on that. Having a clear vision for the district is so important. To work with the board to set the vision, the goals, and objectives for the district, and then make sure the person sees that through and the goals are achieved. To be an instructional leader, somebody that knows that one of the most important parts of the job in the school districts to make sure students are learning and achieving at the highest levels, to be an effective communicator, that the superintendent makes concerted effort to communicate the needs and accomplishments of the district in a variety of formats, through written reports, communication with the media, public meetings, attendance at school events, and of course, to be flexible, to adapt to new board members, changes in state funding and changes in the school community, while not sacrificing the district's vision. A great superintendent takes a collaborative rather than a confrontational approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes, 45 seconds of follow-up.
Sure. The other thing I'd like to add is that our superintendent needs to have a good eye for talent. When it comes to bringing in new teachers, right? A new teacher can make a huge difference. We need people who will fit in with our culture, with our community, with the priorities that we have in mind. And the key example that comes to my mind is Mr. John Connolly at the middle school, because I have heard that he has been transformative. And he has the experience with rotating block schedules. So implementing that type of a big change in the middle school, it was so important to have someone like him with experience. So I think you need to have an eye for talent. I'd also quickly say it's helpful to be plugged in with other districts that are similar to ours. Share ideas.
Thank you. Monisha.
I think a couple of other things I would add is collaboration. We need to be very proactive in terms of, I think one of the key issues in our district right now is COVID protocols, busing, and, with the fair share housing agreement, we need to be very proactive and be able to plan ahead. And the superintendent needs to coordinate with different groups to make sure, we're getting the data and we can, plan ahead. I think the second thing is definitely transparency and communication. I think, parents want to be informed. If the bus is canceled, they want to make sure that they're informed. Transparency is really important. I think if there's changes in the system, parents would like to be informed ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jing.
Okay, so what I like to add, just to pick on what, follow on what Aaron has brought up, I thought it was a very good attribute. Adaptability, or in my word, I would say nimbleness, because you never know what's going to happen. Like COVID just happened to people, like nobody had an idea, but it requires somebody to pivot. Like they kept constantly using that word, to pivot, to know what needs to be done at that time. And it also needs a level of rigorous to act as a superintendent, especially for this district, because this district is very committed to education in general. Lastly is to all of that, to translate that to a goal for the district, to put them into action step. That's very important.
Thank you. Me too.
I was just finishing the point of being responsive, which is, I think, similar to the issue of adaptability. Being responsive to the feedback. After all, it's the superintendent who's running the schools, and board members get a lot of requests, but it's really the superintendent who needs to quickly adapt to the changes and be responsive to the parents' feedback. And this is not an evaluation, but I think the superintendent of our district needs to have a very thick skin. Thank you.
Thank you. Devon.
Thank you. So I think I touched upon the interaction and what the superintendent do within the board. But I also think it's very important to, be very approachable, like I said, because, I've even seen the superintendent currently, at Deerfield for drop off, saying hi to people and talking to teachers. So I think it's important for them to have a pulse on all sources. So from speaking to the Board of Ed, but also speaking to the teachers, the students, and understanding what their concerns are, what administrators are going on. Because if you're not, listening to the members of the district, it's very difficult to know what the concerns and what the goals are. So I think being out there and really touching base with students and talking to them and everybody is important.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. This works off of adaptability, but I believe in the superintendent having an open mind towards success, student success, and understanding the fact that there's a diversity of ways that students can find success, whether it's in theater, performing arts, athletics, STEM, not just academics for the grades alone. I believe that a superintendent needs to understand that, and they're in a unique position where they can administer the extracurricular, the academic opportunities that are offered to students across the entire school district, since they have a pulse on what's happening across the entire school district, which is unique and different from a principal administrating only one school. And for all of that, I believe they need to have a vision of promoting a diversity of success across all our students and all our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal.
Yes, I believe in that the superintendent should have like an open ear and an open heart, again, to teachers, staff, to students, to parents. I believe they should be progressive and in thinking outside of the box. And then I also believe that they should have courage to stick to their convictions when something isn't as popular, but it's right. That they stick to it. That's really, I think that's also how you gain the respect of and trust of parents and teachers and students. Thank you.
Thank you. And Brian.
Yes, thank you. A superintendent is to be a good leader, able to direct to the administrators to accomplish the goals of the district, monitor their progress, and evaluate their performance. Holding them accountable. Accountability is so important in the role of a superintendent. Also, a great superintendent is not afraid to take action or to make a commitment. An average superintendent might set goals that are either vague or easily achievable, but a great superintendent would not be afraid to boldly set a goal such as increase availability of arts education throughout all levels, and then put the programs and resources in place to achieve those goals. That is what is important, what makes a great superintendent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. We're on to our next question, and Monisha Amaral, you'll be the first to answer this question. The question is, please provide further information regarding your volunteer resume. Specifically, what PTO positions have you held in the Millburn School District or in other districts? Or have you done other nonprofit volunteer work that provides further expertise connected to this role?
Further expertise connected
to the role of the board as a board member. Should I repeat?
Yes, please. I think you cut off a little bit.
Okay. Please provide further information regarding your volunteer resume. Specifically, what PTO positions have you held in the Millburn School District or in other districts? Or have you done other nonprofit volunteer work that provides further expertise connected to this BOE role?
Sure. Since I have 3 boys in the system, it looks like I'm going to be growing old for a long time with the school system. My youngest is still 6, so I'm lucky that I have the opportunity to still work with the Glenwood PTO, and my oldest is in middle school, coming out of middle school, and he's going into the high school. I have taken various roles like, class parent, been part of several committees in Glenwood, organizing maybe Parents' Day Out or bingo, lots of little things in the community. I'm also part of the Millburn Soccer Club for 2 of my kids' team. I've also run a robotics coaching, voluntary, role outside the school to just coach little kids and girls into STEM robotics competitions like Google or Lego Robotics, Bex Robotics. I'm very passionate about engineering and robotics. I do a lot of social service with my children. Meals on Wheels.
Thank you. Jane.
Yes, hi. In terms of volunteer positions, I remember when I first arrived at this town, 2015, my first position on the board was actually a BOE liaison for middle school. At the time, Sherry was, I think I was communicating with her, so I knew her name from that time because I was interested in BOE. I was already attending meetings, so that was a perfect position for me. Over the time, I believe a year ago or 2 years ago, I was trying to get on high school PTO board. I did submit my interest to be either a recording or corresponding secretary. I was not selected, and I realized, there was another person got selected, which was I totally understand that person has putting a lot more volunteer time into the district. So then I gradually understand you have to put in a lot more in order to be selected, and there are a lot of good, competent parents and who's done a lot for this community. So I'll add on later.
Thanks. Me too.
Thanks, John. I have past 8 years of experience working for PTO and different local organizations. I was board of ed liaison for Deerfield. I was VP programming in Deerfield. I was VP programming in Washington. And this summer I finished 2 years of middle school PTO co-president. In elementary schools, I've started various STEM extracurricular programs. I started robotics, math Olympiad, and chess in Deerfield. I started Math Olympiad in Washington. I was also a member of Ed Foundation, and this summer, earlier this year, I conceptualized and organized the Ed Foundation STEM Festival, which was the first ever town-wide STEM festival. I have participated in different district-wide initiatives like Challenge Success Committee, which resulted in the rotate and drop schedule in middle school, Start Time Committee. I have coached the robotics team in elementary school, which went on to win the regional championship, actually.
All right,
and
thank
the courtesy of
you'll probably need that other 45 seconds there. Devon.
Thank you. So for my community, I'm currently a young leader committee member for the St. Barnabas Medical Center. So we are a young representation of the town, and we're trying to support the hospital for some of their fundraising and engaging families into volunteer. So it's not only looking into planning events and also getting members of our community to also give back to the hospital, which is very similar. I'm also on the board of directors for the Millburn Soccer Club. So I'm trying to give my time and effort back to the community, and it's a large program, so we're doing that. I also am part of professional organizations, which one of the examples is GSPO, which we look at legislative and political stances for independent pharmacy in New Jersey. So we've worked with the state and federal legislation to progress our thoughts. Also, I give back to my local community where my business is in Essex County So I'll continue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Aaron.
Okay, thank you. So let me say once again that I've spent the past 12 years in the school district working alongside, studying alongside, talking to my fellow peers, other students across the school, across all the grades. And I've spent much of my high school career dedicated to community service to the school and the community. For the past 2 years, I've been president of the Millburn High School Key Club, the largest community service organization in the school. We have over 100 members, and we regularly do service projects helping out either within the school, decorating it, helping other students. And just the past weekend, we went out and canned for the Short Hills, the Explore Short Hills Millburn Association, to help raise money for Hurricane Ida relief. And I run a tutoring organization, volunteer tutoring organization that works across the school districts. Last year, we had nearly 40 tutors working alongside us and helping students across all the schools. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Crystal.
Okay, so from the time the kids were in kindergarten, I was class chaperone of many of their class trips and parties, the ice cream social, art appreciation. I taught an after-school dance class. I also, outside of school, I coached my kids' rec basketball team for about 3 seasons. I did 1 or 2 for my son and about 3 for my daughter. And one of the seasons they went to finals. So I think I did something right. I was on the board, not the board, a member of the Cultural Engagement, Diversity in the Arts Committee, also known as CEDA. And I am right now in the Bike Walk Committee.
Right, thank you. Brian.
Thank you. I haven't had the pleasure of serving a PTO, but I do believe that volunteering and contributing somebody's time and expertise does make a difference. Over the past 6 years, I've enjoyed assisting at Hartshorne Elementary in the library, or working at half-day snacks and delivering them the popcorn or the pretzels or Umi lunch. I've worked at the Habitat, and one of my favorites, the Strawberry Festival. I really look forward to that coming back. I've also have coached baseball and became a soccer team manager. I truly enjoy making a difference in the lives of others. I wouldn't be working for a non-for-profit serving seniors, and I wouldn't be here tonight. I've also served on several other boards, including the Resident Nurses of Sunset Hills, Leading Age in New Jersey, and the Foundation. I also have a little story to share with you, but I'll save that for the next 45 seconds. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Agnes.
I think it's a good sign that many of us are running out of time on this question. So first on PTOs. So as a full-time working mother of young children, I still thought it was important to try to be involved in the schools. And when we were living at Glenwood, I did help out with the PTO by taking on the swag. For me, it was a great fundraising opportunity. It was a great way to be a little bit more creative. I don't have the art gene that Crystal has, but it was fun to work with a designer and try new projects out for the kids and see them really be excited. It's about promoting school spirit. Again, back to the mental health point. In addition, now that I'm in Deerfield, I've signed up with the PTO to help out with the community outreach program. We have a few events throughout the year, for example, Thanksgiving, over the holidays. So I'm really looking forward to working on that. Certainly I've helped out with lunch service and Strawberry Festival too, and the other items I will address in the next session.
Right, thank you. So we have 45 more seconds on this question, and we'll start with Monisha again.
Currently with the Millburn Middle School, I'm volunteering for the 8th grade social. I also think that it's very important to develop empathy among my children. So when we had the storm, Ida, my kids volunteered to serve lunch and meals to several impacted families. We also do Meals on Wheels in the area. We also have tied up with another friend, and we go to Patterson and deliver burgers, 100 or 200 burgers. We also volunteer at the Bowery Mission. At Thanksgiving, I think it's very important for my kids to understand how privileged and lucky they are to have a roof and a plate in front of them, while so many are not able to even have a meal in front of them. So I do a lot outside the school.
All right, thank you. Jing.
Hi. So although I didn't hold a particular board position on PTO, but I've been very active as a parent volunteer. Since I was living in Summit, I was a full-time working mom. I made sure to myself to dedicate at least time to 3 to 4 events every year. So I was the class parents for the 3rd grade and the 5th grade for my elder boy over there. I was a parent volunteer for 2 musicals that my elder boy participated in their elementary school. It was a wonderful experience. Over here, I did a bunch of things at different levels. Hartshorne, I was involved in international festivals, Strawberry Festival, Washington School. I was involved in the cultural arts program. I love drawing, so I made a presentation to 5th grade class. Middle school.
Right. Thank you. Me too.
Yeah, just wanted to ream off some more. So, in the different committees that I've held, I initiated and organized the Deerfield International Night. I have chaired after school ASC committees. I have chaired TGIF committee. So I've chaired a lot of big committees on my own in the different PTO boards. In the community, I was involved with JLOSH at one point, and when I moved to town, I had joined Newcomers and Neighbors, and I was in the board for a few years, and I was even their president for one of the years. So I have been, safe to say, I've been pretty much involved in the community in the last 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Devon.
So in addition, where my business is located in Essex County, I volunteer and I'm very involved with the community there. We support discount drug programs for inner city recipients, and we also help out in the community with homeless shelters. And I presented twice at the Career Day for Newark Public Schools, where we helped with explaining about healthcare and in general, and about different positions in healthcare and alternative ones, that are not in the traditional sense. So again, I just want to say that I'm very enthusiastic, and I'm happy to really get involved with this opportunity, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron.
All right, thank you. So I've also served as a teacher for about 2 years on the Millburn Institute of Talent, teaching Chinese elders English, which was an inspiring moment for me, seeing how a little bit of time out of your week could be so helpful to so many people. And beyond that, beyond just volunteering, I bring a diversity of student perspectives to the Board of Education. In my freshman year, I was a student athlete. I was playing on the JV boys tennis team before eventually turning my attention more towards community service. And I've been writing for Miller for the past 4 years and a member of the Millburn forensics team. All of that comes together so that I know a diversity of communities within the Millburn High School and am looking to help them. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal.
All right, so in 2017, I volunteered by collaborating with Kyle Arlington, who was at the time the assistant superintendent. We worked on addressing racial literacy, cultural awareness and sensitivity, diversifying books in the curriculum, hiring men and women of color. We addressed many topics. And another thing I do is I'm a director at my church. I direct actors, and we put up plays and we put up pieces for that impact people's lives. I've taught acting classes and musical theater classes to summer programs, and I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Brian.
Thank you. I do have a story to share. I have volunteered when no one else would. During early on in the pandemic, when there was a lot not known about COVID-19, everyone was scared being around somebody who got the virus. There was no vaccines, and people didn't understand how to handle it. There was a senior in her 90s that contracted COVID, and she needed to be moved to be isolated from others and get the care and support that she needed. So I led the effort and volunteered first to put on a hazmat suit and goggles and gloves and foot coverings, and others followed my lead. You would get the same commitment if you elect me as the Millburn Board of Ed as a board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
Sure, in the interest of time, I'll focus on local volunteer positions. So I'm currently a member of the Board of Trustees of the Millburn Education Foundation. I'm on the Board of Directors of the Newcomers and Neighbors Club of our town. I'm president of the Korean Parents Organization in our town. I'm advancement chair for the Boy Scouts Troop 15. I previously served as the Cub Scouts Pac 1 band leader. And I have to say the most fulfilling of all has been volunteering as a softball coach for my daughter. Having very little at that time softball experience, I was one of the last parents to sign up because they really needed parent volunteers, and it was very fulfilling, and I recommend it for everyone.
Right. Thank you all. Thanks for all of the service that you do. That's inspiring to hear. We're moving on to the next question. Jing Wen, you're going to be first to answer this question. It's got 3 parts, so I'll go part by part on this one. And again, good news is for the people going first, you have 45 seconds later on to formulate more thoughts. So the first part of this question, what is your high-level philosophy regarding the current distribution of homework for students? Part 2, additionally, what are your thoughts regarding access to AP courses? And the third part of this question, if you would like to make changes, what would be your strategy to work with the administration and your board colleagues to implement and enforce updated policies or regulations from those changes that you made?
John, could you say the last one you cut out?
Yeah, the last one was
Sure.
cut off. Sorry.
No problem. If you would like to make changes, what would be your strategy to work with the administration and your board colleagues to implement those changes?
Okay, so the first question in terms of homework, my overall philosophy is not too much. I think in terms of every subject, maybe 40, 45 minutes per subject, I think it's more than adequate because from a student perspective, they have 6 subjects to attend to every day. So if you take 45 times 6, that's well over 2 hours. So I believe that homework should be more not busy work, but really to practice the concept. And maybe the teacher can think about a portion of homework is really to enhance the concept, and the other portion make it optional. So for a student who's already grasped well, they don't have to complete, but for others, they can choose to complete. The second, access to AP, I believe it should be a broader access, but I will continue to answer later on in 45 seconds.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you, John. As far as the homework is concerned, my philosophy is that it should be meaningful work. It should be work which is reinforcing what is being taught in the classroom, and it shouldn't really be busy work. We do have homework policies right now, and I know sometimes there might be some teachers who might be giving more homework than that, but I think it's more a matter of reinforcing and making sure that the policies are actually being followed. In terms of AP, I think right now the access to AP system has become opaque and burdensome. We definitely need to update the AP policy. There might be some validity to having some criteria, but the process of AP qualifier has no transparency to the system. I will continue in 45 seconds.
All right, thank you. Devon.
Hi. So I guess regarding homework, I think, again, it has to be, impactful work, and there's going to be some classes that are more than the others, but I think it has to reevaluated. And I think that's really in line with the second board goal, the second district goal, which is really looking at teaching, learning, and assessment. So part of homework in that is also looking at assessments, if that's causing reevaluating how we test people. Is it fair to have 7 midterms in a row on consecutive days and have homework in between? So reevaluating that. As far as AP tests, I think it's important that the district is looking at it, and I would love to see the report that's ongoing right now to see about AP qualifiers. I know that we're one of the only towns in the area that has qualifiers, so I think there is a source of stress for it, and I think it should be better access for students who are not coming from an honors class. For someone that was really passionate about English but had a different year the year before and wants to go to an AP, they should still have a chance, and it shouldn't be as stressful. So,
thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. I believe in terms of homework, I believe that we do need to make sure that the homework is meaningful work, that the student is gaining something from doing that work, and they're not just doing busy work, as many others have said. And we need to be understanding of students, understanding of their different situations, and the fact that sometimes homework might come in late, and sometimes homework might be too much of a problem. We need to understand that students have different working capabilities and adjust to challenge them appropriately. And on APs, I believe the AP accessibility, we need to remodel it. We need to remodel AP qualifiers, not exactly cross them out, but we need to make sure they're working for students. We need to make sure that the AP qualifiers exist to help students, not to burden them, by providing them an extra opportunity to get into AP courses if their grades would not have qualified them.
Thank you. Crystal.
Yeah, so I believe that homework should be productive. I believe that workloads should have a purpose to them. They shouldn't be there, again, as everyone said, busy work. It needs to matter. It needs to be something that will progress. I don't believe in giving new work for homework, but giving work that reinforces, as someone else said, reinforces what was learned for the day. As far as the AP courses and the qualifiers, I think it should be done away with. I think it's old. I think it's purposeless. I think it's biased. I think it shuts people out who may have the potential to keep up. And I think it's not fair to have qualifiers when you may have some perfectly brilliant kids who may not be able to thrive because of a qualifier. I think it's completely unfair.
Thank you. Brian.
Yes, thank you. First, I'll talk about the philosophy of homework. Homework, I believe, is the most meaningful if it has a direct relation to what is studied and is specifically given with a purpose. Practices should be school-wide, consistent at grade levels, and consistent with district policy. It is, there should be a philosophy that is meaningful homework, given, again, consistently within reasonable amounts, that improves the learning process and helps form good work habits and increase student confidence. We all know how important it is to give confidence within our children. As for AP qualifiers, this has been a passion of mine from the beginning, and my position has never changed. AP qualifiers are not needed. It's not around in other school districts, and we need to even the playing field and give equal and equitable access to all of our children to achieve whatever they're capable of within our school system and beyond.
Thank you. Agnes.
So I recognize that a lot of subject matter and areas covered by our curriculum. So I understand the need for homework, and hopefully there is no busy work. But I also recognize that our kids today are already very overscheduled. So I think we need to reach a balance. I think it's great to have kids that are well-rounded, so they should be doing extracurriculars like sports or music or art, but we need balance. And I think it's also important to have consistency, because I've heard parents complain, in one class they didn't have enough homework, and then in another class other parents were complaining that there was too much homework. So I think we need some consistency across the board if possible. Quickly on APs, I do believe that they should be accessible to all students. I would like to hear more, but my initial sense is that the qualifiers don't make sense anymore. I think we need to educate those parents and students and trust that they will make the right decision. And hopefully the students will take AP courses in areas that they're really interested in.
Thank you. Monisha.
I think homework needs to be meaningful and reinforce what is taught. My kids actually love the study hall method. It's given them a sense of socialization, and given that we have limited recess and lunch, this has really helped them in the middle school actually to socialize with each other and get the homework done. It's not as monotonous as just homework, because it's done with a friend. It's brought in a lot more, social aspect. In terms of the APs, I think there definitely needs to be more transparency and more access to students. I want to make sure that kids have an all-round development and have access to all APs as possible before they go into college. The third aspect is I've met with every board member and I've developed a good relationship. So any of the changes that I propose will be easily implemented or executed because of my relationship with the board members.
Thank you. Now 45 seconds on the same question, and we'll start with Jean again.
Okay, first of all, I wanted to just correct my math back there, since I'm advocating myself with a finance expert, as I at least have to get the math right. So if a student gets 45 minutes on a subject every day from 6 subjects, that's 4.5 hour homework. And that is a lot for middle schooler as well as for a high schooler every day. 1 or 2 days, okay, but for 5 days straight, that's quite a bit. So with the changing block schedule and in middle school, hopefully not every subject teacher feel the need to give homework every day. Second, with access to AP, I'm supporting expanding access. And initially I was worried about the resource coming from the teacher side, but I think they could easily be trained. The third, the changes, you got to talk to the constituents before you brought up the change. So talk to.
All right, thank you. Me too.
So the good news is that the current board has already done a lot to improve access to Excel and AP courses. Currently, there is Hanover Research, which is analyzing A, what other similar performing districts are doing, and B, they are looking to see whether the past assessment information of a student is a good indicator of their success for the subsequent AP courses they want to take. So really, I'm advocating of a very transparent process and ease of access to AP courses. And yes, parent education and children education is part of the solution because you want the kids to take the level that they are comfortable doing and not adding additional stress to them. So the good news is that we have the momentum. We just need to keep the momentum going and bring those changes to the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Devon.
I think AP qualifiers are a great, a great way of looking at things with the lens of wellness. In a sense where, right now you can't say, okay, I want to change this and change that. But you approach it like the AP qualifiers, like somebody identified an issue, they're hiring a outside party to look at it, to look at how effective it's been prior and why it was instituted before, what other districts are doing. So we take that in evaluation, see the impact on students, see the impact on the entire community as a whole, or the entire district as a whole, and we can make value decisions based on that. So that's what I look forward to doing similar stuff with if I was elected to the board and work with the other board members to make these changes and implement them. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. First of all, I also promote the idea of greater class fluidity, allowing students to move up in levels like into AP courses so that they can challenge themselves, they can succeed for their maximum possible ability, but also make sure that they can drop back down to lower classes if necessary, so that we don't force students in devastating consequences if they challenge themselves too much and then struggle in that course. And to implement our goals, I think it's important that we keep tight communication with the school administration and be understanding and realize the fact that, and keep track of the fact that we need to make our goals realistic for what the school administrations can do and ensure that the school administrations are properly carrying them out at the same time. That would be the best way for us to ensure our goals are efficiently met.
Thank you. Crystal.
Yeah, I had an idea actually. I believe that qualifiers should be gone and never, toss a fire on them. But if this has been an ongoing struggle, and my thing is that if this has been an ongoing struggle and we can't move the needle, or we find studies that, whatever, that there should be access to training for this qualifier, that there should be classes for the qualifier, there should be resources for the qualifier, so that everybody gets the opportunity to progress. If there isn't, there are people who have access to going outside of school to prepare for the qualifiers.
All right, thank you. Brian.
Thank you. As a CEO of a nonprofit, I work with a board, team members, colleagues, seniors that we serve, and the family. To make any changes requires collaboration. And when trying to implement new initiatives that require rethinking professional learning, curriculum or instructional materials, parent education, student education, assessments, or other aspects of the education system, collaboration is particularly so important. I think the most important lesson for all of us is to find the time to collaborate. I think the biggest reason we don't collaborate is because it takes time. I do have the time, and I look forward to working with the administration and my board colleagues, if I'm elected, to make those necessary changes that are needed in our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
So briefly, one added note on the AP qualifiers. My understanding is that students have to achieve a certain grade in the class, that's the same subject, and then take the AP qualifier test. So that's where I think maybe we have a little bit of room for improvement. If we don't need the qualifying test element, then people can focus on their classes, and the grades that they achieve should be sufficient maybe to get them into the AP class. Now on the last point, what would I do to bring about changes, right? What would be my strategy to work with the administrator and the board? Like with anything else, I'd have to do my homework. I'll do the research on the issue that I'm looking to change. I would discuss with my colleagues, maybe start off with one-off conversations, stay open-minded, brainstorm together, but most importantly, I need buy-in.
Right. Thank you. Monisha.
I think in terms of the AP qualifiers, one of the things I've noticed is that we tend to box children from a young age. We take the sixth grade results and then put them in an accelerated program. Then they go into an 8th grade accelerated program. If a child is a late bloomer, they fall off the bandwagon, then they're not allowed to do any of the APs because the past grades matter in terms of the AP qualifier and the recommendation. I think we need to be a little more inclusive and definitely remove this qualifier system, have some more transparency. Past grades are not an indicator, as they say in finance. Past performance is not an indicator of future performance. And I think we need to be inclusive in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you all. We're on to the next question. This is short comparatively to the last few. But just as complicated. And this will be Neetu Salorta first. So here we go. If you could only change or move the needle on one problem or issue in the Millburn School District, what would it be and why? And did everyone hear that okay this time? Yeah, I think we're good. Crystal, should I repeat? Yeah. If you could only change or move the needle on one problem or issue in the district, what would it be and why?
Thank you.
Sure.
So hard to choose. Ultimately, the thing that is most near and dear to me is the stress that our kids feel in the system. And I wouldn't point at one issue, but really a collection of issues. There are some stress points in the secondary schools which can be improved. There is access to AP courses. There is inconsistency in assessment, so streamlined assessment policies, hopefully move to block scheduling and promote a culture of belonging in our schools. So all this adds to the school climate and reducing of stress for our kids. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Devon.
Yeah, so I think, if there was one thing I want to throw in, I think what's so important about our schools is that, we have such good strengths, our people, our PTO, our Ed Foundation, our volunteers, the teachers, administrators. So we have all these resources and the curriculum and courses are offered are top notch, the rankings are great. But realistically, the thing we should really focus on is making sure that it's an environment where it's balanced. And again, it's again saying the wellness and the stress that's on kids. I think it's important to really kind of look at that culture and climate, because if we have all these amazing resources as far as teachers and parents that are involved and want to be really informed, if we're creating an environment that becomes very stressful for the kids, that sense of belonging, kids do better in a sense of belonging and an environment where they can cultivate and inspire them to learn and do better. So it's really just trying to looking at some measures, some of which were mentioned, that we can look to improve that part of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. If I could only pick one issue to really focus on, it'd be student mental health, promoting student self-worth, alleviating student stress, student self-confidence, student self-esteem. I believe that's the critical issue we're facing in Millburn right now. We have an excellent academic program and so many extracurricular opportunities. Of course, it can always be expanded upon, but we're already amazing in that. We just need to focus our attention towards this specific issue. And we need to make sure that promote the idea to students that their self-worth is not based on their academic performance, that it's not based on what college they get into, that it's based on them and themselves only and their relationship to their community. We need to get students to understand that no matter what college they go to, they'll most likely be successful in life. They'll most likely have a happy life. And that I think can go a long ways towards promoting student mental health in our schools.
Thank you. Crystal.
Yes, so I agree. Stress and mental wellness is the absolute key, because you cannot perform to your best. You cannot be your best unless your mental wellness is in check. I would use the arts to help with that. I would suggest using art therapy. I would suggest using arts as an escape, using arts as a way to express yourselves. There are ways that you can learn. It also addresses diversity. It also addresses learning different stories, learning about different people. It covers it all. If we really work on making an environment where others can express themselves, I truly believe that art can help heal and help heal each other. So I think that's something we could explore as we address those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian.
Thank you. I'm sure you could guess what is my most important one as well. Of course, it has to be mental health. The longer a mental health situation goes unchecked, the more severe the consequences could become. The lack of access to supports can have a serious or lasting impact across all areas of all children's life. Leaving a child without support contributes to school dropouts, unemployment, or even worse. In addition to the short and long-term losses and missed opportunities, there's also, of course, those loss of lives as well. So it's so important to make sure that schools, services are available and the resources are there for a child, and have access to that when they need it, if they need it, and make sure it's available at that time, because it's so important to make sure that they have the support that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
I'm so happy to hear that many of us are aligned on this. It really is mental health, and absolutely mental health. There's so much pressure, as I mentioned earlier, parental pressure, peer pressure. I definitely think we need more education. I've enjoyed in the past attending these various parent symposiums, I believe they were called, coordinated with various districts. I'd certainly be in support of doing that again. At the end of the day, if kids can be balanced and they can be happy, I think we can set them up for success that way. Because, right, how do you define success? It's not the college necessarily, it's not the job that you get or the house or the materialistic things that you get. It's about finding what makes you happy, finding your meaning in life, your purpose in life. So I think that's the most important thing. I also feel for that, give kids an opportunity to make their mistakes and learn from it so that they can own their own accomplishments and be ready for what the real world will be throwing at them after high school and after college.
Thank you. Monisha.
I think for me it would be ensuring that kids have an all-round, balanced, enriched education, not just, academics, emotionally, mentally, they have the right tools and be strong in terms of the, with stress and things like that come down their way. In terms of STEM, I see we do a phenomenal job with the science and the math, but we don't do much in terms of the T and the E in the STEM thing with technology, programming, or engineering in terms of robotics or innovation or tech this. The other thing I would also want to look at is the special needs of children, and by reinstating a committee, look at the needs of the kids and have goals oriented towards special needs children. I think they're an important factor in our district, and we need to look at them and make sure that they're growing along with the rest of the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Jing.
Hi, if I were given one thing to choose, yes, I will focus on students' mental health. I felt one thing that we could do, I would really strongly recommending to the district leadership from a curriculum instruction perspective to incorporate a module in the health cycle of the health PE instruction to teach kids about mental health and wellness and coping skills. So this way to bring a wellness to the students, as well as teaching them some tools, how to think about stuff. I believe these should start in middle school, probably a 7th grade. And Yeah, so, and because the earlier we talk to them, the students will be more comfortable talking about it later on. Other things, well, other things is not really done from a board perspective. It's about the panel discussion, which I will talk more later on using a 45 seconds.
Thank you. Neetu.
Yeah. I wanted to add that it's not that it's not just the school's role to take care of stress, it is parents' responsibility too. I want to reassure the parents who are listening now that in our school, the kids who are in the middle range, not just the top level kids who are in the middle range, also go to very good colleges. So, the pressure of always pushing the kids to go into either Ivy Leagues or Tier 1, it's not needed. All our kids go to very good colleges. So I feel the parent education is also part of the piece here, where we can, ratchet our pressure on kids a little down, and they are able to, thrive in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Devon.
Thanks. So I think it's really important to point out that, every single, pretty much one of us who are prospective, board members or, trying to serve as a board member, it's really important to know that we all were saying that wellness was the biggest issue, which I think is important to also note that it's very important for the board and the district and the superintendent to set the goals. Like I mentioned before, the district goals and the board goals. And I think it's really important that, it is one of the biggest issues, and the goals, the board is being, and the district is being proactive, because 2 out of the 3 board, the district goals are addressing this issue. So I think it's really important, and that's what I would hope to bring to the board as well, is, focusing on the right issues, coming up with the right goals. And that's really what you can do as a board member, working with the superintendent, and really see what things are really affecting our children and our district, and really address them, and make sure that we are looking at it and trying to look for solutions. And the kids should know, and the parents should know, that this is not a permanent thing, that we are working towards it, and we hope to come up with solutions and measures to improve and make wellness a forefront. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. I believe one of the keys to supporting student self-confidence, to diversifying their aims or perspectives, is offering more extracurricular opportunities, even more academic opportunities in various subjects, whether it's humanities or STEM, so that students can truly find their own niche. They can find where they excel at and where they're talented at. And that can drive them to success and drive them to be happy with themselves, proud of themselves. And I think that's the most important thing that we really need our kids and our students to be aware of, that they have their own talents. Everyone's unique and everyone is good at something. And we just need to provide the catalyst, provide the opportunity for them to be able to find that, for them to be able to find that niche and find that opportunity to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal.
Yeah, like I said before, I really believe that using the arts as a way to alleviate stress could be very productive. Studies show that arts help with stress, they help with anxiety, they help with depression, they help build confidence, it helps with breaking your shell, it helps with leadership skills, it helps with making friends. There are just so many wonderful components that come from it, either fine arts, media arts, performing arts. Nobody's asking for the next Denzel Washington, but you never know. You just never know what you find. And I think that we just need to have more resources for children to see what they might find, that they find out about themselves, that they discover about themselves. Yeah, and it could help students be excited about coming to school as well, because they'll have something that's an outlet as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian.
Adults may not realize when a child is struggling, and the child may not understand what he or she is going through either, which is why it is so important that schools start teaching children about mental health alongside physical health materials. Research by the National Association of School Psychologists shows that students are more likely to seek counseling when resources are available at the school. From that research, they gathered and also concluded that students who receive social, emotional, and mental health support achieve better academically. Mental health comes in many different forms, but teaching children how to identify their feelings and express them to a trusted adult can help them find the right diagnosis and start that road to recovery. Thank you.
Thank you. Agnes.
So at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I'll just say that I really hope we can help students pursue subjects where they have a genuine interest. I think they'll be more focused, they'll be more motivated. And at the end of the day, we can support them, whether those interests are purely academic or, for example, in the performing arts area. I think I mentioned this not too long ago, but when I go to the high school musicals, I'm always blown away by the level of talent that I see. So if we can support more of that and show people or show students that there are different tracks available to them, I'm hoping that that'll be a big contributing factor to the improvement of mental wellness.
Thank you. Monisha.
I think just getting back to the all-round development, we talked about, mental health, STEM. I think another aspect I would like to add to the curriculum is arts, performing arts, drama, theater. I have a special needs child. Academics might not be everything. I took a look at the AP courses offered, and I see there's a huge concentration in social studies and math and sciences, but there's nothing in the music or art field, where the children might be more interested in, liberal arts or, performing arts or art or drama. I think we have to encourage children, we want to develop that skill if a child is not academically focused in other areas too. Drama, I think, builds a lot of confidence with children, it gives them the social aspect. And it also, teaches them to be vocal and, monitor your tone. So very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Jing.
Yeah, I believe student needs to be taught and understand they need to take care of their body and mind as well as their grades. So that will be the essence of the health class module within mental health module within the health cycle. Additionally, want to ensure the middle school, high school are adequately staffed with school psychologists and student counselors. It could be a shared resources among middle and high school. Also on the elementary level, there could be a group of counselors that share among the 5 elementary schools as well as Washington. Lastly, something that could be done right away, could be through PTO, is to have a committee to do a career panel discussion, bring back alumni from different college tiers, talk about their experience post Millburn High School. And that will bring reality back to our kids in the school district. Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's now time for our closing statements. I want to thank all of our viewers for sticking with us and just hearing such a diversity of opinion and thought, and where there's also collaboration already going on. It's great to see. And I want to thank each of our candidates for their willingness to serve our community and our students. As a reminder, you'll have up to 60 seconds for your closing statement, and Devon is first up for this.
Thank you again. I'm Devon Negrecha, and I'm running for the Millburn Board of Education. My ballot position is 8F. I wanted to mention that I am very enthusiastic about this opportunity, and I'm willing to invest the time necessary to meet the responsibilities and give back to my community in this way. If I were to be elected, I will work with the other board members to represent the entire district in all matters pertaining to education. My first goal will be to familiarize myself with the current issues and decisions facing the board and work amicably with the other board members to set goals and support policies that will help promote and maintain excellence in the district. I understand the key responsibility to be a successful board member is to work as a team with fellow board members, and the board acts as an entity, not guided by individual members or individual board members. So I want to help contribute to that. Again, I'm Devon Negrecha, and I'm running for the Millburn Board of Ed. I ask you to cast your ballot for me, Devon Negrecha, 8F, on November 2nd. I believe I can provide the time and unique skills, knowledge, and insight needed to serve on the board. Thank you again, everybody. Thanks for organizing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Aaron.
Thank you. So to reiterate, I'm Aaron Chan, and my ballot position is 2F. I'd hope on November 2nd you go out and fill that bubble in. Now, I want to tell everyone and reinforce the statement that I made in my introduction, that I will not be leaving the Millburn School District. I know I'm a senior, and I've been using that to my advantage so that I can bring a student perspective to the board. And I get that there's many people wary out there the fact that I will be going to college soon as well, which might disconnect me from town. And I seek to reassure everyone that that will not happen. I'll remain a committed member of the board, constantly coming back to Millburn. All the colleges I'm applying to are not far away at all. And that ensures that I can always remain a committed member of this board, working alongside the other members, hearing from the students, and ensuring that the Millburn School District benefits every single member of it. So thank you once again for your support. Thank you for coming to listen to us. And may you please fill out the bubble 2F. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal.
To current and future board members, if I am voted in, I promise to work hard and to work together for the good of our children, all our children. To parents, I hear your concerns, and as a mother myself, I will do everything I can to make sure I encourage, enlighten, and enhance ideas that focus on our children's well-being. And finally, to all students, you are not defined by a test or a grade. There's more to you than a rank. Regardless of race, gender, sexuality, socioeconomics, learning levels, you deserve all the resources that Millburn District has to offer in order to succeed in life. But success goes beyond assessments and unit exams. There's a time in between where you have to ask yourself, how am I doing? Please know that as you continue your academic journey, with the parents, students, and district's continual involvement, we can make these things happen. So vote Millburn for all. Vote 5F, vote Crystal out. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan.
Thank you. I believe strongly that part of any body that interacts with the public is to have good communication and transparency. There are already e-blasts and streamer public meetings. I like to see regular newsletters and in-person forums that would help reach more people, ensuring that everyone is aware in advance of important matters that impact our district and our children is a priority. Well, kids, my wife and I have benefited greatly from the district's education program and from the special education services. The special education services is amazing, top-notch, and I have a true appreciation of this program and how it separates us from other districts. This is another essential program that I understand and support. If you choose me to serve in the Millburn Board of Education, I would bring the same passion, dedication that I bring to my work every day, my family, and my community. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions or talk further. You can email me at lawrence.millburnbre@gmail.com. Please vote 4F, Brian Lawrence, and have a great evening, everyone. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Agnes.
Thanks again to everyone here for taking the time to hear us out, and to John, Sherry, Lauren, and the PTOC members. I believe that the board can be effective so long as we have board members that are reasonable, open-minded, willing to listen to others' views, and truly collaborative. I do contract negotiations day in and day out. I need these traits to get my job done. I'm constantly striving to find the middle ground to complete my deals. And to do that, I'm continuously looking for creative solutions too. I'd like to use my legal skills and expertise to help the board continue to make progress and also navigate changes that impact our school community, such as the new housing developments. I'm in this together with all of you, and I am in it for the long haul. The board has to collaborate with parents, students, and educators alike to make forward progress. And lastly, I have no personal agenda that I'm looking to accomplish. I'm not bringing any political views into this role, and nor should anyone else. Politics has no role in the Board of Education, and it should stay that way. I'm here because I want to give back to the community in the best way that I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Monisha.
Hi, I'm Manisha Amaral. I hope you will vote for me. I'm 1F on the ballot. I'm here to, bring a global perspective to the board, having been educated in 3 continents. I also, my youngest is 6 and my oldest is 13. So I have a good perspective on every level and every grade across the board. With my finance background, I think one of the key areas is to take a look at the expenses and the taxes. And I'm really here to make sure that we keep the taxes in line and flat by looking at different expenses in by reducing bond interest, leasing versus purchasing, several other recommendations that I've seen in the budget. I also want to add more STEM, being an engineer myself, so that our kids are geared towards it, and also look at the special needs committees and ensuring our kids are included and have goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Jing.
Thank you for your time this evening. I think I'm a very strong candidate in this election because I'm a parent who's experienced through all levels of Millburn's public school system, from elementary school to Washington school, middle school, and high school. So I understand the challenges students face in high school. I've been actively volunteering at both the school level and district level, most recently as the co-chair of the Sleep Advisory Subcommittee for the District Start Time Investigation Initiative. So I have experience working with the district leadership as well as school administrations. And my 25-year working experience in public accounting, finance, and banking, most recently as a structure, marketer, and deal team leader, executing bond financing transaction at an international investment bank with an MBA from NYU. I believe my credential and skill will be valuable to the board. Lastly, but not least, I'm passionate about education. I've been attending BOE meetings since I arrived at this town. I'm running because I wanted to contribute and give back. Thank you.
Thank you. Neetu.
Thank you, John. I'm a current board member, and within the board, I've been working in the subcommittees of finance, property, program, and communication. Since being on the board, I've been involved in various issues such as providing additional mental health support to students, especially now after a year of online learning, easing the access to AP courses, analyzing the change in college placement trends, subscription busing, planning for future developments, planning for projects in summer next year, and conversations in social emotional learning. Through my work within the district, I have amply demonstrated my level-headed leadership and problem-solving skills. I have shown that I can get things done. I understand the changes that need to be brought in order to prioritize students' well-being and emotional health. I hope to get re-elected so that I can continue working on these issues with other board members so that we can bring changes that benefit all children. Please vote for me 6F on the ballot because experience matters. Thank you.
Thank you. And many thanks to Lauren Ballady, Sherry Malfus, Andrea Spar, and Gwendolyn Young, who are doing their behind the scenes magic this evening, and to the Millburn PTO Conference members for your many, many years of service to our schools and your long-term commitment to hosting the BOE Candidates Forum. Thanks again to all of our participants and viewers, and we hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.